If you were today had to grow your revenue and net profit, where are the 3 top areas which you would fix first?
Oh man, I wish I had.
But let's say you are a consultant, you hired for another bar. How would you audit?
I mean, first and foremost, I think is always like, your big cost expenditures are always going to be staffing, your rent, things like that. It's important that the staff that are working are making money and are taken care of. Like, you don't want to be overstaffed to the point where you're pushing money out the door and your staff isn't making any money because there's too many people in the pool, right? So things like that, I think, would be where I would look first.
Hey guys, this is Sid Patel, CEO of Bartender Spirits Awards and Beverage Network. I'm live here in Chicago at this amazing 9 bar in Chinatown, here with Joe, who owns this bar and obviously operates and manages the bar. We're going to talk about the current state of the bar business, right? We all know that, overall things are slow, but we're trying to understand on how they are navigating, what are the challenges they're facing, including the supply shifts that are happening, tariffs, consumer shift. So just want to know how Joe is navigating this and still growing revenue and profits, right, Joe?
Yeah.
So thanks for having me here.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for doing this.
Why don't you give us a little history that you were just telling me about this amazing bar?
Yeah, so we are in a hybrid situation here. My partner, Lily's parents, owned a restaurant in Chinatown for about 30 years called Moon Palace. It was in the neighborhood for about 30 before that. We took over in 2022, moved their operation to takeout and delivery called Moon Palace Express, and now we operate 9 Bar, which is what a lot of people have described as Chinatown's first cocktail bar. Nice. I don't know if I'd do that distinction, but we're certainly the first dedicated bar space in a while in the neighborhood.
Okay, what's the name reason of 9 Bar?
9 Bar? It's a little bit of a play on words. Okay. So Joe, if you think of like By Joe, By Ju, kind of means bar.
Okay.
Ba would be the place to drink. So Joe Ba is how you would say bar. And then Ba, the character is different, but the sound for 9 is the same.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of a play on words, and also fortuitously, our address also equals 9. So 216.
Interesting.
Equals 9. So nice little. Nice little nod there.
Super. What about your background, Joe? You and Lily, how did you guys connect and what were you both doing before this?
We were both career bartenders, and this kind of came about organically. We're also together in life. We had this opportunity, and it felt very organic to us and something that we identified as maybe a need in the neighborhood. It didn't seem right to us that a neighborhood like Chinatown that's so vibrant and has so many dining options didn't really have a space to grab like a really well-made cocktail pre or post dinner, or even that be the destination for the night. So we just really wanted to slot in there and give people another option within the neighborhood.
Great. Let's come back to the current situations, right? Of course. Last 60 days, it's impacted the imported brands for sure in the way they think. Mainly the decision making, till my knowledge, has been a little paused, right?
Right.
Like the importers and distributors don't want to commit right now just because they don't know the import duties and what's going on.
Right.
But has that impact come on this side? Like, have you seen some products out or some decisions you have to now make that that you're asking suppliers that, hey, guarantee this is going to come and this is the price?
I don't know if it's necessarily been any worse in the last 60 days. I think, like you said, there's definitely a lot of uncertainty. And I think that's been the case probably since November, since right after election times. But, we've been dealing with a lot of that since reopening out of COVID lockdowns with, issues within the supply chain. And it just seems that overall you have to be more focused on what will be in stock. It does get harder to maybe craft the menu, not knowing if a certain product will be there the full time that you're going to run said cocktail on said menu. So it does take a little more planning and a little more conversation, with our distributors and our brand reps and everybody else.
But any particular items right now, let's say, especially, a little bit, I can touch base on the Asia part, the items which are from Asia and maybe especially Baiju, I saw there, right? Yeah. So what about those kind of items?
I mean, prices have definitely fluctuated pretty greatly and have skyrocketed a little bit in the last few years and within the last 6 months as well. And I think maybe that's going to be a continued trend, but we're seeing that across the board, kind of like not things produced domestically, but anything from overseas right now might take a little longer to get. If something does go out of stock, that next shipment might not be coming immediately like it once did. And then again, even with domestic producers, I know that there's been issues with certain things in their supply chain. Obviously, even if a spirit is produced domestically, not every component of that is always sourced domestically. So we're kind of seeing it across the board.
Okay. On your sales, like, have you had a better year, or it's been a flat or a little slow compared to last year?
We're about on par to be where we were the last few years.
So you're happy? You're okay? You think it's all right and life is good, or you're facing a challenge?
I mean, doing this sort of work is always an up and down, and there's a lot of challenges daily, sometimes hourly. But overall, I think we're seeing changes in the way that people are consuming and also spending their money. But for the most part, we're optimistic.
So what are you seeing? Like, what changes are you seeing, and where are they spending money?
If I go back, as I said before, I was kind of a career bartender and I've been doing this for the better part of 20 years. I think people's consumption overall is a bit down. I think overall for people's personal health, that's probably not the worst thing. I mean, in our business, it definitely changes how we go about our menus, how we go about guest interaction when they are here, and how we just try to figure out, ways to optimize our business model as opposed to just relying on straight volume of consumption.
So meaning a little bit more focus on the food or maybe no and low. So have you started those kind of?
Yeah, of course. That was an idea from the start, was to offer good food options as well. And then, I think at this point, if you're not offering non-alcoholic or low ABV drinks, I think you're missing out on a large portion of the way people are now consuming. When
it comes to even, I'm sure a lot of brands would want to still know, like, what's a good elevator pitch, or when they're coming here and introducing a product, what makes you buy something? If you can walk us through your process.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple at the end of the day. Like, it needs to taste good first and foremost. I think that's always kind of deciding factor one. From that, I think we have another bit of criteria that we judge on. Obviously, business practice behind the scenes. How are they taking care of their employees? How are they taking care of the people that maybe they're sourcing from? Is it sustainably produced? Is it, or is everything above board? And in terms of that, and does it align with our goals? And then, how does it fit into our concept? There's a lot of great spirits out there that I think just maybe don't work in certain situations. So we're also looking in how does that fold organically into the concept that we're putting forth.
One of the hardest part is, like, they able to set an appointment with the decision makers.
Right.
Any real, like, if you were tomorrow a brand owner and you had to flip the side, what would you do?
I think first and foremost is trying to get a hold of someone and set an appointment. Like you said, that could be really difficult. But I mean, I think, popping by and saying hello and introducing yourself in kind of a casual, like, hey, here's who I am kind of way, and getting your contact info out there, asking who you can contact. I think everybody would probably give you the same answer, which is don't pop in at 7 p.m. mid-shift and try to taste someone out on something. That's not the best method. But, this is what we do for a living. We want to try new products. We want to taste new things. We want to know what's happening. So just go about it and.
And are you seeing any trends in particular? Like, if I had to ask you, what are the 3 or 4 categories where you're seeing a little bit more tailwind and consumers asking and you're sort of looking?
I mean, I think, agave spirits are still
high?
I think really high on people's lists. We're still getting a lot of asks for tequila and mezcal. Being here in Chinatown, we do get people curious about the Asian side of things. So we are seeing some movement on some baijiu, some shochu, some soju, and some sake. So always looking to explore that. We're always interested in a lot of other spirits as well that we're trying to introduce people to. So I think there's a good give and take there of what people are asking for and what we want to put forth.
If you were today to literally put your growth hat and had to grow your revenue and net profit, where are the 3 top areas which you would fix first?
Oh man, I wish I had.
But let's say you are a consultant.
I wish I had
you
the
hired,
yeah.
You hired for another bar.
Yeah.
How would you audit?
I mean, first and foremost, I think is always like, you know, your big cost expenditures are always going to be staffing, you know, your rent, things like that. Some things are going to be out of control if I was, you know, like you said, in kind of a consulting scenario. But I think we're just going to look at things as a whole and see how do we become the most efficient. Are we using all the product that we're ordering? Are we using it, you know, efficiently? Are we getting the most out of it? Where's the waste in that? And are we staffed properly in terms of like not running like a super type ship in terms of like we need to take things away from staff, but also it's important that the staff that are working are making money and are taken care of. Like you don't want to be overstaffed to the point where you're pushing money out the door and your staff isn't making any money because there's too many people in the pool, right? So things like that I think would be where I would look first. Definitely on the efficiency side, like I said, are we using everything to the best of its capabilities?
Do you guys look at upselling or put an effort, or it's more like inbound?
I think it's more inbound, and it's more, again, organically. Like we're never going to be pushy and trying to get someone to do something that they don't want to do. But certainly if someone's asking about, you know, some higher end Japanese whiskeys or something like that, then we can kind of navigate them towards that.
And what are the three categories where you're completely not buying or reducing?
I don't know if we necessarily stay away from anything in particular. We kind of try to...
Gin is still good, you think?
Yeah, I still love gin. We still have gin. Honestly, we get a lot of asks for gin cocktails, especially people seem to be into, at least here, they always ask for something kind of like gin and fruity and light and citrusy. So we always try to work that into a menu somewhere. Yeah, people. I mean, there's nothing that I would like inherently stay away from.
Okay. You are going to be judging, and you are our judge as well at the Bartender Spirits Awards. So one of the things that we do is the blind, you know, tasting as well for the quality. How do you sort of evaluate complete blind liquid? You know, what kind of things are you looking for when you're just doing a blind evaluation? I
mean, again, that first initial of how, especially blind, is going to be like, how does it sit in the mouth? Like, I'm going to, also the aroma, you know, like the nose, everything, like, I'm going to be smelling that before it comes in. What's that first impression like? Same with when we're building cocktails. Like overall, I'm looking for some good balance. It's okay to be really botanical or really bitter or really funky or anything like that, but does it have a nice level to it at some point? Are there other things there to balance it out a little bit? So
one of the criteria we use is the mixability, right?
For sure.
For that reason, that you want a spirit to be more versatile and you want to use it in more cocktails.
Of course.
But, you know, I want to clear the myth maybe. One of the things is people may think that we're not going to make cocktails and just, you know, even when you're buying, you're not going to make 50 cocktails and think that everything is perfect for the spirit.
For sure.
But so you have to imagine, right?
Yeah.
Based on the alcohol or the spirit itself,
100%.
On how much versatile it is. So can you elaborate on how the
Sure.
work?
I mean, like you said, there's not everything works with everything, right? Like you can't kind of Mr. Potato Head everything. You know, just kind of pulling components from where some things are going to work better in other situations. I think for me, a lot of that comes down to my personal palate and past experience, where I might taste a big flavor in something that immediately reminds me of something else, or I taste something that I know will go good with something else. So that will get those kind of, that wheel moving. But like you said, you brought up gin, and I think gin's a great example of like, there's a lot of botanicals within gin, and like sometimes different ones bounce out to different people, and like, that's the fun thing about mixing with gin, right? Is like you can play off a lot of different elements. So we're always looking for that. It's what's that flavor that stood out that you thought, oh, this will be great in here, or I can use this in this application.